People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. Arsenal versus Sheffield United. Now, people, Arsenal versus Sheffield United. For me, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm concerned. I'm not concerned in that I think it's going to be doom and gloom. I think it's a game where I know United have Liverpool and their form's not in the best of form. Spurs haven't been in the best of places. They've got Watford at home. Irrespective of Man United against Liverpool, for example, if I'm the top four rivals, Chelsea as well, I think Chelsea got Newcastle at home, which they do pretty well against. You're probably looking at, if I'm Spurs on 11 points, you're looking at potentially Arsenal dropping points and closing some sort of gap. Chelsea making advancements and whatnot. We cannot forget Leicester are in third as well. If they take 3 points in their game against Burnley, who have poor away form, they will move away. The point is, if I'm rivals of other teams, with the exception of probably United this game week because of playing Liverpool, you're looking potentially at Arsenal to drop points on Monday and make ground on them. And for us, for an Arsenal perspective, We've had a bit of a bumpy start to the season. We have, but the last couple of weeks we've got 2 wins against Bournemouth and Villa. Forgive me if I'm wrong. A draw against United. We've got some points on the board, but now it's about putting a winning run together because we know December. Just go and look at the fixture list in December. It is crazy. We're now at that period, or we're approaching that period, end of October to December, where the games in all competitions are coming thick and fast. It's going to be a big test. Now, I really admire Sheffield United. They're 13th for a reason this season. They've been doing what they need to do. They're unbeaten away from home, so that shows you tactically they can be difficult to break down. They can be difficult to defeat. They got a point against Chelsea, forgive me if I'm wrong. So they're on playing top 6 games, so there's no point assuming because they're a championship side that you're going to be given any, promoted side from the championship, that you're going to be given anything, people. At home, I think, I'm not watching Sheffield United religiously, but based on what I see at home, I think compared to away from home, they're slightly more expansive. Whether that's because they want to put on a show for the fans or that's just what they're choosing to do is something I don't know. But they look a bit more expansive. They don't just sit back at home. They fancy it. And why wouldn't they? Steel City. We all know the Steel City passion and fighting for your fellow man until the last whistle. We know it's going to be a dogfight against Sheffield. They've got technical ability and whatnot, so don't just class them as a team with blood and guts, but they're incredibly good when it comes to organisation. Tactically, we'll get onto it in a bit, but tactically they're on point. They know how to fight. Their crowd is going to be with them. It's Arsenal versus Sheffield United. These are the games they wanted when they returned to the Premier League. They wanted to play the top 6. If Sheffield lose, it's not the end of the world. For us, it is. So they're going to be bullish. Their fans are going to be on top of them. Obviously, Arsenal's away form generally hasn't really improved. We've kept a clean sheet away from home recently, I think. But our clean sheets in general haven't been amazing. Our away form hasn't been amazing on the face of it for the last couple of seasons. So these should give them confidence. It's going to be a game where I'm sure the players have better things to do than play Sheffield United on Monday. No disrespect to them. It's going to probably be, we're in October, it's going to be cold, it's going to potentially be wet, it's going to potentially be windy. The fans are going to be up against it. It's down to us to silence the fans. If you cannot silence them fans, then be able to deal with it because their fans are going to give Sheffield United energy. They're going to be feeding off that energy. Look at Liverpool versus Sheffield United. I think the only reason Sheffield United didn't take 4 points from that game is because as the game went on, they started to show, no disrespect, that a couple of their players are championship standard and that they've just been promoted. They let themselves down with silly mistakes, but they made Liverpool work for them 3 points. They made Chelsea work for a point. They're difficult away from home and they're unbeaten away from home, and they know how to be stubborn away at home. So if they know how to defend and they can be expansive, they're a difficult side to beat on top of the fans and whatnot. So we're gonna need to be at it. I was looking at their statistics as well. This season they haven't lost more than a single goal. So we're gonna have to be at it, people. This is a side that don't really give an inch. The only criticism I can see of Sheffield United as an outsider looking in is they don't score many goals. And allegedly there's problems or concerns concerning their striker McBurney, which is promising to Arsenal because obviously we don't want him to be involved or we want them to have a weakened team. But there's no surprise, people. They sit 13th. They've got 9 points from their first 8 games. Unbeaten away from home. Done well against big teams. Arsenal have only scored 5 goals in 11 away trips to Sheffield. On top of that, obviously they're difficult to break down. So it's potentially not going to be a free scoring game where Lacazette, BAME and Pepe all connect and it's all match of the day highlight sort of stuff. Of course, I'd love it to be that, but it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a game where you really need to fight for the 3 points. Everybody expects us to lose. We have a target on our back to a degree in games like this. We just need to get through it. We're going to know exactly what we need to do come Monday because everybody else would have played. And it's about last season to a degree that kind of, on top of our poor form towards the end of the season, I think we kind of choked a bit psychologically when we knew what we needed to do or the ramifications of winning or losing because our rivals have played before us, people. So we're going to need to do what we can, man. And even their manager is bullish against us, people. Look at what Chris Wilder has said. He has said, we are obviously as bullish... Sorry, people, let me start again. We are as bullish as you can obviously imagine because that is the approach that we take. We were against Liverpool. The crowd have been absolutely amazing at home. That is not me rubbing their heads because they know how important it is for them to be on the front foot and make it hostile and noisy. The last manager who came here, obviously Jurgen Klopp, commented on the atmosphere as well, which was a real pat on the back for the way our ground is set up and inside it. We will need that on Monday night, and I'm sure it will happen. A night game at Bramall Lane, under the lights, live on Sky, something that we are really looking forward to and getting after the opposition, but understanding the quality they've got. So on top of just every reason for them to be confident tactically and what I've said, they're bullish because of what their fans give them. And it pains me to say it, but I have to mention it. Obviously, if you want to play anyone in the top 6, it's probably United now, but in terms of being, I don't agree with it necessarily, but being a soft touch, being easy, being pushovers, being difficult to beat away from home, it is Arsenal. Players talk. They must fancy us, people. Look how Villa gave us a fight, people. Do you get it, people? We need to give them a fight. They're 13th, not by fluke. We need to respect them. If we move on quickly to their tactics, people, I'm not watching them religiously, and I've seen variations of 3 at the back from them. But let's just comment on this. They're difficult to break down, people. They've got their 3-5-2. They've got their DM. They know when to sit. Sometimes I see them as a 3. I see their wing-backs especially. This is what I was seeing away from home, people. They know how to be difficult to break down. It's not 2 banks of 4, but essentially 2 banks of 4. Obviously, it's 3 at the back sort of thing. And sometimes you even see stuff like that. Difficult to break down, people. If we move it forward quickly, what I find impressive is that there's always triangles, people. Obviously, sometimes you see their wing-backs or wingers or whoever's playing in that position go forward. You might see him drop goal. So he shuffles across, he drops in. He goes a bit wide and he goes a bit wide. Do you get it, people? It's quite thingy. And there's always triangles on the field for them. They always got triangles. Look, gosh, there's always triangles for them to pass to. Always triangles. Throughout the whole field, there's triangles, people. And I think that is one reason they're a good side for a promoted side. There's always an angle for the pass. There's always something for them. So if we put Arsenal players into this, people, I'm going to go with Leno for this. I'm going to go 4-3-3, as I always will. Centre-halves in Socrates. In fact, let me do that after. I'll name the team sheet after, people, but... It's important we don't fall for their traps, people, because if I'm them, I can quickly see how they can overshadow Arsenal's midfield, people. Because think about it. Obviously, we've got a free midfield here, but if we go with Ceballos, who I'd want him to be further up, and if there's a gap, which there typically is between our midfielders, you can quickly see how they could swarm it, people. How our midfielders can become outnumbered. Do you see it? There's gaps. And if they're now already as a team and we don't really play that expansive, we try and be compact, you can kind of see how they can frustrate us, not really allow us on the ball. On top of there not being any space, snap at our heels and things like that, and really make it difficult for us. So that is something we need to be aware of. For me, especially with their overlapping centre halves, like I kind of shown, I've messed up the formation a bit here. So let's go back to basics a bit. Let's go back to basics of sorts. Make it a bit easier for you lot. It's key to, for me, it is key we capitalise on that space. Now, when you see their overlapping centre halves, you might see their wing back or whatever try and join in. You might see one of their centre halves go, rightly so, someone might shuffle across and someone might drop. The moment they do that and there's gaps, exploit it. Because listen, you don't mind a centre half out there, people. Exploit the gaps. Have a go at someone. Like I said, midfielders and centre halves, they all fill in. And they're all quite natural in that position. And I really, from a tactical point of view, I admire how Chris Wilder has got them thinking and he knows how to do it. But there's gaps with this and interchanging formations like you've just seen with the centre halves. There will become gaps where someone's not paying attention. So it's down to us to exploit them, people. It is going to be a game where we're going to have to sit and remain compact, in my opinion, at some periods. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a free scoring game. But I don't think it's going to be that for us, people. Purely because statistically it's not looking like that. Games are won on the field, not on paper. Also, one thing that concerns me a bit more is Chris Wilder's somewhat their son. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he's a local Sheffield United boy, Sheffield lad. So even more on top of them being galvanised and stuff, he's really one of their own. So these are things we need to think about and things we really need to consider, people. Like I said, the most impressive thing is their triangles. They will have a go. I do think at times they show they're a newly promoted side. Henderson's had a couple of mistakes this season, as have a couple of their other players. So we'll see. For me, I'll go 4-3-3 or something like that. For me, I think Saka deserves to keep his space. I will go Saka, Aubameyang, Pepe picks himself. Midfield, Ceballos would be there for me. I'd go Ceballos, Guendouzi and Torreira, to be fair with you. It's just, do you know what? Let's start again. Aubameyang, Pepe, Saka, Joe Willock, Lucas Torreira, Guendouzi, but we all know it'll be Xhaka. Right back, is Bellerin ready? Like, if Bellerin is ready, then I'll throw Bellerin in there. He played, allegedly him, Ozil, Holding all played against Reading. So is Bellerin ready? If not, on current form, probably got to go with Callum Chambers there again. I would potentially go with Socrates and Luiz. I feel the last two games before the international break, they played well and I was on their backs when they made mistakes, and it's equally as fair to hold them up when they've played well. So I don't really feel right now Holding should get a look in, beyond the fact that I love him and I would play him in terms of keeping it fair and earning your spot. Chambers, Luiz, Socrates would make up their back three. The only change I'd make in defence, obviously Leno's in goal. Kieran Tierney would get his first Premier League start for me, and it looks like this is where I would like to really kickstart his Arsenal career. So I'll go with Tierney. So to recap, we've got Saka, Bukayo Saka, Pepe, Aubameyang, Joe Willock, Lucas Torreira, Guendouzi, but it's going to be Xhaka, Callum Chambers, Luiz and Socrates, Kieran Tierney, and behind them is Leno in goal. Key to protect Leno, man. We need 3 points. We really need 3 points, people. We've got Southampton, Wolves, Sheffield United. We've got the Europa League. Every game is hard, but these are where we really need to take maximum points, because December, early on in the new year, I think January the 1st, we have Manchester United. December, I'm sure we've got Chelsea. There could even be another top 6 game. Something is telling me Manchester City. So we need to kind of take maximum points going into that period, because it's going to be difficult, people. That is a fact. So yeah, man. On that note, though, I've got nothing more to add. All I can do is say thank you for listening to my preview. Hopefully we win on Monday. Obviously, like I said, we'll know exactly what we need to do come the end of the game. Come the start of the game, on Monday morning. Monday evening. But Monday morning, we'll know what we need to do. People, Deluded, comment, subscribe, do the rest, man. Thank you very much for always taking in my content as usual. I'm out.